The French Revolution is taught as a triumph. The people rose up, the king fell. Liberty won, that's half the story. The half they want you to remember. The other half is what happened next. They overthrew a monarch, and within 10 years they were bowing to an emperor who was far more dangerous than the king they'd killed. They escaped one cage and built another, and they built it themselves. The French Revolution is a warning, not about rebellion, about what happens when you leave without knowing where you're going, or who you're becoming, or who's waiting in the chaos to offer you a new master. This is a special edition of Know the Play. Run yours. The French Warning. I'm Ms. Peck, July 14, 1789. The Bastille falls. The French people are done with the Ancien Régime. The old system of kings, nobles, and a church that owned a tenth of the land while peasants starved. It was righteous. It was overdue. The revolution had every moral argument on its side. But here's what happened next. Within 5 years, the revolution was eating its own children, the Committee of Public Safety, the Reign of Terror. Robespierre, a man who started as a voice for the people and became a prosecutor of the people. 40,000 French citizens executed. Not nobles, not enemies, neighbors, friends, fellow revolutionaries who didn't pass the purity test. The revolution had no compass. It knew what it was against: monarchy, privilege, the church. But it had no clear picture of what it was building. So it turned inward. Suspicion became policy. Disagreement became treason. The guillotine became the answer to every question. And into that chaos walked Napoleon Bonaparte, a young general, brilliant, charismatic. He promised order, he promised glory, he promised to make France great again. By 1804, he crowned himself emperor, not in secret, in Notre Dame Cathedral, with the Pope present. The revolution that began with liberté, égalité, fraternité, ended with one man sitting on a throne, conquering Europe, and sending millions to their deaths. The French didn't trade a king for a republic. They traded a king for an emperor, and the emperor was worse. Game film, red pen, 3 steps. This is the playbook of how a righteous exit becomes a new prison. Step 1, burn it all down, reactively. The French Revolution didn't reform. It annihilated. The monarchy, the nobility, the church, the calendar, the measurement system, even the names of the months. Everything associated with the old system had to be destroyed. But here's the problem. When you define yourself entirely by what you're against, you have no identity when the enemy is gone. Destruction without construction is just chaos. And chaos is a power vacuum. Power vacuums get filled. Step 2. Turn on each other. The terror wasn't directed at foreign enemies. It was revolutionaries executing revolutionaries. The Girondins, the Dantonists, the Hébertists. Every faction that disagreed with the ruling committee was purged. The test of loyalty kept getting narrower. Yesterday's hero was tomorrow's traitor. The revolutionary who didn't applaud loudly enough was the next one on the cart. Step 3. Hand power to the strong man. After a decade of chaos, the French people were exhausted. They didn't want liberty anymore. They wanted stability. They wanted someone to make the fear stop. Napoleon offered exactly that: order, pride, victory. And in exchange, he took everything the revolution had fought for: no elections, no free press, no dissent. A secret police that made the king's spies look amateur. The people traded freedom for security, and got neither. Now watch me mark this. Destroy without building. Purge without grace. Surrender to the strong man. The danger of leaving isn't just the leaving. It's what you walk into. Here's where the teacher gets very direct. I see people leaving political movements right now and falling into every single one of these traps. They leave, but they don't know what they stand for, only what they're against. They burn every bridge. They announce their exit in a blaze of anger. And then they're standing in the ashes with no community, no identity, no plan. That's not freedom. That's step 1. They turn on each other. The person who left 6 months ago judges the person who left last week for not leaving fast enough. The purity tests start. Well, you still follow them on social media. You still talk to your family who votes that way. You're not really out. Within months, the ex-members are fighting each other harder than they ever fought the movement. Step 2. And then, here's the one that scares me most. Some of them walk right into another strongman, not because they agree with him, because he offers order. He tells them the chaos will stop. He gives them a new identity, a new enemy, a new script. And the person who escaped one cage just handed the keys to someone else. Step 3. The French Revolution is not ancient history. It's a live broadcast. It's happening in living rooms, Facebook groups, and Twitter threads right now. People are leaving with rage and no map, and rage without a compass is just another kind of cage. Hero Thinking Booster, the final tool of this series. The compass exit. The French had a revolution. The Americans had a declaration. The difference wasn't courage. It was direction. Here are 3 questions you answer before you take one step away from anything. 1. What am I leaving toward? Not what are you leaving? What are you walking toward? The French knew what they hated. They never agreed on what they wanted. The founders had a document, a declaration of what they were building. If your answer is anything but this, you're not ready. You're fleeing, not exiting. Fleeing leads to the first open door. Exiting leads to the door you chose. 2. Who am I becoming? Leaving a movement is an identity crisis. If I'm not a MAGA supporter, who am I? What do I believe? What's my tribe? If you don't answer that question, someone else will answer it for you. And the person who names you owns you. Define yourself before the next strongman does. 3. Who's walking with me? The French revolutionaries were isolated. Everyone was a potential traitor. The founders had 56 signers. They argued, but they argued together. They left together. Your exit needs at least one witness, one person who knows your list, knows your direction, and won't let you walk into a new cage. If you can't answer these 3 questions yet, don't rush the exit. Build the answers first. Here is the exit. The French Revolution is the most important cautionary tale in modern history, not because it failed, but because it shows how the best intentions, without a compass, become the worst outcomes. The French had passion. They had courage. They had righteous fury. What they didn't have was a declaration, a direction, a community of signers who held each other accountable. Don't be the French Revolution. Be the American one. List the grievances. Show them to someone you trust. Know what you're building, not just what you're tearing down. Join the MAGA Exit Countdown. Live. Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. The Wayfinding Station. We don't just leave. We navigate. Together. With a compass. With a community. With a declaration that each person writes for themselves. This is the week you decide. Not to rage, not to burn bridges, to pick up the compass, to sign the declaration, to find your 56. Smart decisions start here. The Compass Exit, Tuesday at 7.